I've been to Amsterdam maybe more like 40 times. At this point, I've stopped counting. But what I haven't stopped doing is discovering. See, there's something strange and beautiful about coming back to the same city over and over again. It stops being a place you visit and slowly becomes a place you feel. This isn't your typical things to do in Amsterdam list. No Van Gogh museum, no canal boat tours, no coffee shops. This is the Amsterdam I've come to know after years of walking its streets. Sometimes aimlessly, sometimes with intention. These are the places that reveal themselves when the noise fades. Most people don't know this, but right behind Amsterdam Central Station, there's a ferry you can hop on for free that takes you across the IJ River for the northern part of the city. It's not just transportation, it's an experience. The moment that ferry leaves the dock, you feel like you're moving from one Amsterdam to another. The cityscape changes. Glass towers replace canal houses. Street art appears where church bells once rang. You arrive in Noord, a place that's raw, experimental, and full of character. There's something about watching the skyline from the water that always resets me. It reminds me that the city isn't just about what's in front of you, but what's waiting across the river. Now, let's take a short walk into one of the oldest and most talked about districts in Amsterdam. But instead of following the crowd, we're heading down a path a few people notice. Here is the narrowest alley in the red light district. In the middle of the infamous red light district, hidden between the noise, the neon, and the crowds, there's a sliver of space, a narrow pathway right next to the bulldog. It's so tight you might miss it if you blink. But if you walk through it slowly, you'll sense something. This alley used to be filled with red-lit windows. Women used to sit behind the glass waiting for clients. Now there's no one. The rooms are empty, the lights are off, and the silence speaks louder than the crowds around it. To me, the space feels like a relic, a remnant of a chapter that's slowly closing. It's kind of eerie, yes, but it's also human. It holds a kind of history that's uncomfortable to look at, but impossible to ignore. From this narrow alleyway, with its quiet ghosts, we head to a much more peaceful corner of the city, a courtyard filled with whispers from centuries past. The Gable stones in the Begijnhof. Hidden behind a wooden door off a busy shopping street in the Begijnhof, one of Amsterdam's oldest inner courtyards. You walk inside and suddenly the city goes quiet. Birds chirp, the wind carries stories. If you look up at the houses, you'll see small stone carvings embedded in the walls, Gable stones. These were used before people could read house numbers. Each one tells a different story, through symbols, dates, and religious imagery. Some show trades, like a baker's oven or a carpenter's hammer. Others are cryptic, like a woman with a candle or a man rowing a boat. And in the Begijnhof, many are spiritual. The area was once home to a group of Catholic women who lived in devotion without becoming nuns. Standing there, you realize that the city has always communicated, just not always in words. But now, let's shift from ancient stone carvings to something crafted with childlike wonder, a place where storytelling comes to life in a miniature form. The Mouse Mansion. Now this one always makes me smile. It's called the Mouse Mansion, and it's exactly what it sounds like. A world built for mice. But this isn't just a display for kids. It's a passion project. Every tiny piece, the furniture, the wallpaper, the miniature newspapers, were handcrafted. The level of detail is just absurd. And as you walk through the exhibit, you start to feel something strange. You're not just looking at dollhouses, you're entering stories. You're becoming a giant in a miniature world full of character, warmth, and wonder. It reminds me that sometimes the most experiences don't come from grand landmarks, but from tiny universes created by someone who cared enough to build them. After the burst of creativity, let's take things slower and head to one of the most peaceful places I've found in the city, a quiet island many people have never even heard of. PrinsenEiland, a secret island. There's a small island in the heart of the city that most people have never heard of. PrinsenEiland. To get there, you have to leave the buzz behind. You cross a few small bridges, you follow quiet cobblestone paths, and suddenly you're somewhere else. The houses here look like they've been frozen in time. No traffic, just silence, seagulls, and the occasional cyclists who pass by. Artists live here, writers, locals who crave stillness. There's a timelessness to it, like Amsterdam is whispering rather than shouting. It's the kind of place where your mind quiets, where you slow down, where the city feels like it's exhaling. But even in the quietest neighborhoods, history leaves its mark. Let's walk over to 216 Amstel, where one of Amsterdam's darkest secrets still stains the front gate. 216 Amstel, the bloodstains. Along the Amstel River at number 216, there's a townhouse that seems like any other, but look closely down by the front gate and you'll see what looks like bloodstains. And the wild part? They've been there for centuries. Others say it was a botched execution. No one really knows, but the city never cleaned it, never washed it away. It's just there. A silent reminder that even beauty has a shadow. It's easy to romanticize Amsterdam. The canals, the bikes, the flowers, but this house reminds me that the real cities have scars, and sometimes they choose to show them. Now let's step away from the city scars and into something more personal. A canal that holds meaning, not for what it is, but for the memories tied to it. This one's deeply personal, and I hate to say it, but it's gonna be hard pronouncing the name. Kromboomssloot. This one's deeply personal. There's a quiet canal called Kromboomssloot. Nothing too special really, just a tree-lined waterway with a nice view. But for me and my brother Nabs, it's become our spot. We have this unspoken thing. If we ever lose each other in Amsterdam, we know we'll find each other here. It started as a joke, but it's stuck. Now, every time I come to Amsterdam, whether or not Nabs is with me, I visit this place. It's like saying hello to an old friend, like checking in with a piece of my past. It reminds me that some places aren't important because of what they look like, but because of what they hold. Finally, we're about to end our journey in one of the most transformed streets in the city. A place once defined by addiction and decay, now alive with culture and resilience. The Zeedijk, from heroin to hope. The Zeedijk. If you walk down it today, you'll find restaurants, cafes, and music shops. It's vibrant, alive. But rewind back a few decades and this was one of the roughest areas in Amsterdam. Heroin, squatters, crime, the government had all but abandoned it. Locals were afraid to walk here. Then slowly the community changed it. People moved in, cleaned up, reclaimed the space. Now it's part of Chinatown, full of culture and food and movement. But even today, if you pay attention, you'll see another layer. A few refugees selling small items on the sidewalk, some sleeping rough in alleyways. It's not perfect, but it's real. The Zeedijk is a street of transformation, a place that teaches you what resilience looks like, what recovery feels like. This is my Amsterdam, the one I keep returning to, not for the sights, but for the stories. A city that doesn't just reveal itself in your first trip, but over the years, in hidden corners and quiet moments, in the places that no one told you to look. And maybe that's the most beautiful thing about it, that even after 40 plus visits, it still surprises me.